Circumference and area of a circle. Circles. A circle is a plane figure that consists of all points that lie the same distance from a fixed point. The fixed point that defines the circle is called the center. So we're all kind of familiar with circles. Think about a coin, like a quarter. A quarter is in the shape of a circle. Or our vehicles use them, tires, right? And the center is just the middle of that circle. Circumference and area. The perimeter of a circle is called the circumference. The circumference of a circle is the length or distance around the edge of the circle. So the circumference is the distance around the circle. The area of a circle is the space within the circle. The area of a geometric figure is the number of square units that can be contained within the space. So example, 40 square feet. We usually put that little exponent of 2 for the exponent of square. 40 square feet. Or 1,240 square feet, like the area of a house or an apartment. Let's see, 1,240 square feet. They could use SQFT for the abbreviation for square feet. Okay, diameter. The diameter is a segment that passes through the center of a circle and has endpoints on the circle. So the diameter is the distance from one end of the circle to another end of the circle through the center. That's called the diameter. Radius. A radius is a segment with one endpoint on the center and the other endpoint of the circle. So the radius is the distance from the center to the edge, and the diameter is from one edge to the other edge. So as far as notation, we're going to use D for diameter and R for radius. And we're going to be talking about finding the diameter or radius of the circle. The diameter is twice the radius. So here's a little equation. D is equal to 2 times R. That's 2 times the radius. So in example 1, given the radius, find the diameter. So the radius is 12 feet. Just multiply that by 2. And therefore the diameter would be 24 feet. Here's our next one. The radius is 28 inches. So what would the diameter be? Right, 56 inches. Just multiply it by 2. So if they give you the radius and you want the diameter, just multiply it by 2. And if the radius is 2.5 feet, then multiply that by 2, that gives you 5. Think about $2.50. $2.50 times 2, or $2.50 plus another $2.50 would be $5. Okay, here's our next example. The radius is 1/2 the diameter, or you could say it's the diameter divided by 2. So R equals D divided by 2. So if they give us a diameter and we want the radius, we just divide the diameter by 2 or cut it in half, and that'll be the radius, because the radius is only half of the diameter. So here's A. The diameter is 16 feet. Divide that by 2, what do we get? 8 feet. If part B, the diameter is 24 inches, what's our radius? 12 inches divided by 2. And C, if the diameter is 7 feet, divide that by 2, 3.5 feet. You have $7 and you have to divide it by 2 people. Each one gets $3.50. So just divide 2 into 7. Put a decimal point after the 7, so it's 7.0. And then you'll get 3.5. Okay, moving on. again, the distance around the edge of a circle is called the circumference. We'll let the letter C represent the circumference. And we will also use another letter, and it's called the Greek letter pi. It's spelled P-I. It's kind of a funny looking symbol, but it's Greek. It's just different. And that's going to represent this decimal approximation, which is 3.14. So pi equals 3.14. Your teacher may make you memorize it or may not. Most of the time, you might as well just memorize that pi, spelled like P-I, spelled P-I, but it's just like a pie, like an apple pie. And it's equal to 3.14. Now, it goes on forever. It actually goes on past the 4, but we approximate it or we round to the hundreds place. So 3.14 will suffice. Okay, and here's our formula. The formula is, for circumference, C is equal to pi times D. Again, C is circumference, D is diameter, and pi equals 3.14. Okay, again, your teacher may make you memorize it, may not. Probably a good idea to start memorizing these things. Note cards are always a good idea. Making note cards, and on one side of the note card, maybe put a problem, and then on the back side of it, you put the workout solution and any notes you want to write down. Helps to memorize. You know, a lot of people do note cards for other classes like biology, history, but math is a great subject to make note cards for as well. Okay, so here's our first problem with finding the circumference. Find the circumference of a circle if the diameter is 14 feet. Okay, so first let's write down the formula. C equals pi times D. Okay, now we're just going to replace pi with 3.14 and D with 14, because we said diameter is 14 feet. So all we have to do is multiply those two numbers. You might want to pause, work out your multiplication. Anyways, just regular multiplication. That's 16. And then the top number has 2 decimal points to the right. Sorry. The top number has 2 places to the right of the decimal point. And the bottom one has none, so move the decimal point over 2 places to the left. So it's 43.96. And since it's feet, just write feet, 43.96 feet. You might want to pause, make sure you did your multiplication correctly. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Find the circumference if the diameter is 5 meters. M is for meters. MI would be for miles. M is for meters. Most countries, well, almost every other country uses the metric system except for the United States. So you go to Mexico, Canada, Europe, wherever you go, it's going to be metric. That means kilometers, liters. They're not going to use gallons. So it's going to be metric. Okay, work out the formula. And then replace 3.14 for pi, and D is 5. Just go ahead and perform our multiplication now. And then put your decimal point in the appropriate position. Okay, so it's 15.7. You don't have to put the 0 afterwards. It doesn't mean anything, so you can just write 15.7 meters. If you wrote 15.70, it's not wrong, but it's not necessary to have that 0 because it doesn't mean anything, has no value. 15.7 is the same as 15.70. Alright, let's do another one. Find the circumference of a circle if the radius is 8 feet. Well, let's write down our formula. Now this formula says C equals pi times D, but do we have D? No, we certainly do not. We have the radius. If we have the radius, how can we find the diameter? Right, multiply it by 2. So the diameter would be 16 feet. Now we can replace pi with 3.14 and D with 16. Okay, go ahead and perform the multiplication. Do 5024, move the decimal point over 2 places. So 50.24 feet. Okay, so that's finding the circumference of a circle. If they give you the diameter, just use that number for D. If they give you the radius, first you got to multiply it by 2, and then multiply it by pi. Okay, now our next formula, we're going to talk about area of a circle. Remember, the area is the space within the edge of the circle. We will let the letter A represent the area. We're again going to use the Greek letter pi to represent the decimal approximation, which is 3.14. Here's our formula. A is area, R is radius, and A equals pi times R squared. And again, pi is 3.14. You could also write that A equals pi times R squared as A equals pi times R, because R squared means R times itself. Okay, so it's your preference. You could either square R first, or you can multiply pi times R and then times it by R again. I think it's better to do exponents first. The order of operations is to do exponents first and then multiplication. Okay, here's our first problem. Find the area if the radius is 3 meters. M is for meters, right? Okay, write down our formula. A equals pi times R squared. I wrote pi times R, but thinking back, I don't really like it all that much. I'd rather you think about using the order of operations. You know, as you'll find out, there's always several ways of doing the same problem. And we also want to think about the best ways for your future math courses as well. Okay, 3.14 times 3 times 3. Now let's do the 3 times 3 first, our exponent, which gives you 9 square meters. Now remember, we're talking about area, so that's why we have that little exponent of 2, just to show that's area. 3 meters times 3 meters is 9 square meters. So if you would have multiplied 3.14 times 3 first, that's fine actually. It's legal. But I think it's easier to multiply the two numbers first, the two whole numbers first, before you multiply it by a decimal. Okay, then multiply 3.14 times 9. Again, move your decimal point over 2 places. So we get 28.26, and then put that little m squared. Writing the units is very important in science, in engineering, whatever the course is, if it's a biology course, chemistry, maybe some of you are going to nursing. A lot of people are going into nursing, and it's a very big deal whether you write milliliters or microliters, or if it's milligrams or micrograms. You know, if you write the wrong units or the doctor puts the wrong units, it could be very dangerous. I know there's checking and self-checking. There's constant checking to make sure there's not a mistake, but still mistakes happen, right? So it's very important to write the units, m squared for area. Okay, let's go on. Another problem. Find the area of a circle if the radius is 9 feet. Again, write down our formula. So 3.14 times 9 times 9. Let's multiply the two 9s first, right? So 9 times 9 is 81. And we'll put little square feet. Feet with a little exponent of 2 that says square feet. Now multiply the 3.14 times the 81. And I didn't show all the multiplication, but you should get 254.34 square feet. Okay, I probably went too fast on that last problem. Make sure you always pause the video, work it out on your own, and then click on play when you're ready. Okay, this looks like our last problem here. Find the area of the circle with the diameter is 12 feet. Okay, write down our formula. Now, we don't have r, do we? We have the diameter. So how are we going to find r? Remember, the radius is half the diameter, or the diameter divided by 2. So if the diameter is 12 feet, then what's the radius? Right, 6 feet. Now we could use our formula. That'll be a equals pi times 6 feet times 6 feet. Okay, again, pause the video, work it out, take your time. Okay, so multiply the 6 times 6, that gives us 36 square feet. Then multiply it by 3.14. Should get 113.04 square feet. Okay, that's the end of this video. Hope it worked out for you. See you here for the next one.